Record.
Yeah, I'll go for it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, is that me?
I thought you said I'll go for it.
Oh, I said y'all, but I'll do it.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
ooh. Oh God, we come to you this morning as we always do, united in our desire for oneness, for clarity, and to know ourselves and to know you as not separate. Enter into this gathering this morning and help us to hear everything that you would have us hear, because we know that that is what is best for us. Help us to leave aside everything else, no matter how wonderful we might think it is, just for what you have for us today. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Beautiful. Hi, Jenny. Welcome.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, good morning. I don't know where we're at in the book because I wasn't here last week. So
It's
when
okay.
we
We're
start,
gonna put it in the chat every week, and it's right there. It's the Atonement as Defense, Chapter 2, Section 2.
thank you.
Absolutely. That way everyone knows the next week. It'll be very helpful.
Yes.
So I was going through some of my paperwork today and I ran into a note. I don't know. I usually date stuff, and I get it, but I just wanted to read this here. Probably something we can remember every day. And it's it's simple, it's little. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is not think, not wonder, not imagine, not obsess. Just breathe and have faith that everything will work out for the best. That's kind of been my mantra the last 7 weeks.
Mm.
I just, just breathe. So we'll take a big breath, huh? Everyone,
Absolutely. Thank you.
it's going to be my bookmarker.
I love it.
I'm just a little nutty, I have these cards. I
I
got
love
stuff
it.
stuffed everywhere. I'm like,
I love your nuttiness, Rebecca.
I always go, it's one of the traits of a Taurus, and I'm a very hard Taurus. I'm right in the middle of the sign, and I'm a earthy person, pretty practical, but I can't do anything without a list. I literally will get paralyzed if I have to go into the grocery store and I forgot my list. Because then I go, I don't even know what I wrote down. I will actually call Jerry and I'll write it down on something. Jerry, go upstairs, look at my list. What do I have on it?
Yeah, I get that about the grocery store, but I write lists and then I never look at them again. I'm Aries, typical Aries.
Oh,
That's
so
how I am. Yeah.
we're pretty close there. Aries, Taurus, we're right there. The ram in the bowl.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. So did everyone have a good week? It feels good.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the
Yeah.
daylight savings.
the
Uh,
weather's getting nicer. It's
oh
warming
Mhm.
yeah.
up.
Yep.
That makes
Yep.
a huge difference in everything. It really does.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Spring is such a hopeful time. Everything is new again.
It
It
is, and you
is.
see like little signs of it, like
Hmm.
you'll be out in the yard and you'll see the little catkins coming up on the pussy willows, and you'll see
Hmm.
little buds forming on stuff. My orchids are all blooming like crazy, and I'm like, yes. And I got a Christmas cactus that blooms about 5 times a year, and it's in full bloom right now too.
Oh,
It just
nice.
reminds you that there's a season for everything too,
I
right?
know. The Christmas cactus, she doesn't play by any rules. She's like, I'll bloom when I feel like it, and she
Hmm.
does. But anyway,
Are we ready?
yes,
Yes,
I think so.
I'm happy to start. Y'all want me to read?
absolutely.
Sure.
Okay. Chapter 2, Section 2. the atonement as defense. You can do anything I ask. I have asked you to perform miracles and have made it clear that miracles are natural, corrective, healing, and universal. There is nothing they cannot do, but they cannot be performed in a spirit of doubt or fear. When you are afraid of anything, you are acknowledging its power to hurt you. Remember
That's a
that
great,
where you're, huh?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but that's like a great reminder, I think, for all of us right now.
Yeah,
It's like,
Mhm.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just felt like that needed to be said
no,
because
go for it.
we
Yeah.
don't want to give anything power to that much power, right?
Especially when it doesn't really have it. And when I read that sentence, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, yeah, wait a minute. We have an authority here, whether you believe it's Jesus or not. I tend to think it's somebody who knows what they're talking about, who really knows what they're talking about, telling
Right.
me that it really doesn't have it. And I just, it's so comforting to my mind because all that's happened is I've forgotten.
Exactly. I love it. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, do y'all want to say any more about that? I mean, it is,
Powerful.
so many of the course's statements like this is the whole course encapsulated in the
The
one
one
statement.
sentence.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
You read something, you're like, that's what it is.
It's like if I got that, then it's
all I
over.
need.
Yeah. When you are afraid of anything, you are acknowledging its power to hurt you. It's interesting when I read it that time, the Spirit brought the emphasis on the word you. I felt it come through. When you are
Mhm.
afraid of anything, you are acknowledging its power to hurt you. Remember that where your heart is, there is your treasure also. You believe in what you value. If you are afraid, you are valuing wrongly. Your understanding will then inevitably value wrongly, and by endowing it all thoughts with equal power, will inevitably destroy peace. That is why the Bible speaks of the peace of God which passeth understanding. This peace is totally incapable of being shaken by errors of any kind. It denies the ability of anything not of God to affect you. This is the proper use of denial. It is not used to hide anything, but to correct error. It brings all error into the light, and since error and darkness are the same, it corrects error automatically.
Love it.
Hmm. That's a powerful little paragraph there. It
And it's
it
so
brings all error into light, and since error and darkness are the same,
Yeah, yeah,
it corrects error automatically.
and to simplify that anything that's not love is
yeah.
Exactly.
darkness.
And
So
I've been hearing the word light as I read through now. Spirit gives it to me as awareness or consciousness. And so it's like it brings error into consciousness or awareness where I can actually see it, not as some horrible, awful thing that I did or whatever, rather than it's like, oh, okay. And then it corrects it automatically because then it's known. And it's
I
such
love
a kindness because you can't get that from the world.
No,
You can get
no, it
like,
has to come
oh
from
yeah,
you.
you can get like, oh, like you ask somebody, you're like, they say, how you doing? And you mistake it like they really want to know, and then you tell them, and then they're like, "Oh, well, here's what's wrong, and here's what you need to do, and all of that." And it's not, I don't know, you know,
Hmm.
you know how that is, how it feels. Like I'm already afraid, you know, or I wouldn't be bringing it up.
Your baby behind you, one of them.
Yeah, it's raining here, so they are like wild little children.
It's raining. It's starting to rain here right now.
Yeah, I don't know what it's doing here. It was really, really foggy.
Really windy here.
Yeah, I don't think we
Yeah,
have a breeze out here. It's going to be like 58 degrees. I'm like, okay,
It's
but
60.
nice.
it's nice because the snowbanks are like gone.
The
But
Yeah,
then
snow's
you
yeah.
want to
gone.
get out, and you want to get out and do stuff, but you go, that ground is still frozen.
Hmm.
There's no way. So,
Yeah,
Y'all want me to continue?
yes.
sure.
Okay.
That's fine with me. Jenny, if you want to ever read, just let us know, okay? Okay, go ahead.
True denial is a powerful protective device. You can and should deny any belief that error can hurt you. This kind of denial is not a concealment but a correction. Your right mind depends on it. Denial of error is a strong defense of truth, but denial of truth results in miscreation, the projections of the ego. In the service of the right mind, the denial of error frees the mind and reestablishes the freedom of the will. When the will is really free, it cannot miscreate because it recognizes only truth.
Hmm.
You can defend truth as well as error. The means are easier to understand after the value of the goal is firmly established. It is a question of what it is for. Everyone defends his treasure and will do so automatically. Whew. The real questions are, what do you treasure and how much do you treasure it? Once you have learned to consider these questions and to bring them into all your actions, you will have little difficulty in clarifying the means. The means are available whenever you ask. You can, however, save time if you do not protract this step unduly. The focus will shorten it immeasurably.
Hmm.
Everyone defends his treasure and will do so automatically.
Yeah,
So what are we treasuring?
yeah, yeah.
I love that. You
A
can
lot of
save.
times we're treasuring what we think we believe,
Yeah.
you know, and you see it, where I guess we've had a lot of practice and what having somebody see the truth and you cannot make somebody see the truth.
Yeah.
So, and that could be a treasure you're trying to defend. Well, I'm gonna educate him. I'm gonna show him how this goes. And it's like, no, it's kind of like, oh, but I love him. I'm gonna change him. No, you're not. Um, so I think that's, we treasure, trying to think of the right way to say it, our wrongs that we think, we're not doing it from a place of love. And I think that's where the difference is.
Yeah, and that reminded me of that ACIM student that was correcting everyone and just so unloving and so unkind. And I'm just like,
Hmm. Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's not going to do anything, you know. We can,
Yeah. I'm
and we all
treasuring. Go ahead.
go ahead. I'm just saying that we can all try to defend what we know, you know,
Oh
and that
yeah, yeah.
doesn't
But
mean
it's because I don't know it. You know, it's like I'm treasuring a, oh God, I'm treasuring a concept, and whew, and what I think this is what I'm getting is like, I don't know that of this separate self mind I can move there is what it's saying is I don't need any concepts to begin with, you know.
exactly. You have to be
Right.
open. We have to remain open, right? And loving.
Yeah, I mean, even the most beautiful concept sounds like loving, but it's like what I am valuing without knowing it, what I'm really giving a value to or it's real in that moment is that fear is real. That this small separate self that's sort of underneath all these concepts that's real and that needs to be protected and that needs to be, recognized and validated and all of that stuff.
And that's so funny because that's exactly what came up for me in my defense. Right?
Yeah.
An insanity loop.
Yeah, and it's like when it happens, like I hear the chorus would say what I would what I would think it would say, through the eyes of forgiveness is that you're not doing anything wrong. Stop making yourself wrong. You don't have to make yourself wrong. When that happens, of course there's an error that's going on here, but like to make myself wrong or to try to put something on me in that moment is saying that the error is like attached to who I am or what I am, that I am an ego, and it just catches fire so quickly.
I know. I love the practice of the pause. Like when a thought comes into your brain before it hits your lips, pause for a minute. Is this really, and you can also be in mid correction and you can pause yourself and say, okay, um, that's not really what I meant. So you just stop. You don't have to continue on with that. But yeah, the correction thing, I don't know if it's a lesson title, Never Correct a Brother. And that's, you know, and my safety or
In my
defenseless.
defenselessness,
Safety
yeah,
lies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of my favorites. And a lot of people have like, and the light has come, this and that. I'm like, no, those things there are in my everyday life, every day. Like
yes.
when you feel you need to constantly explain yourself, that's your defense, you know.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not like you murdered anybody. It's just
Yeah, and he's offering another signal here in that moment. I can go up to these questions and just, say, what is it that I treasure and how much do I treasure it? That can give me a nice pause.
yes.
Go,
And
wait a
then
minute.
and then this is where the miracles happen. When you stop yourself, you pause. That in itself is a miracle that you have chosen the path of light
Hmm, hmm.
and to just always be kind. As I wear my skeleton t-shirt today. It's my it's cute as bunch of cowgirl. Let's go, girls.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, they look like they're having fun too.
They are. I'm just thinking, I got it's my Halloween shirt, but I just wear it all the time anyway. I guess I like skeletons.
I like skeletons too.
Hmm. moving
You know,
on.
yes, this is a jam-packed section because when I look at it, there's all kinds of markings on this one. So I have marked the heck out of this one.
Mm. Okay, the atonement is the only defense that cannot be used destructively because it is not a device you made.
Hmm.
The atonement principle was in effect long before the atonement began. The principle was love, and the atonement was an act of love.
I love
Attack,
it.
acts,
Hmm.
acts were not necessary before the separation because belief in space and time did not exist. It was only after the separation that the atonement and the conditions necessary for its fulfillment were planned. Then a defense so splendid was needed that it could not be misused, although it could be refused. Refusal could not, however, turn it into a weapon of attack, which is the inherent characteristic of other defenses. The atonement thus becomes the only defense that is not a two-edged sword.
Hmm.
It can only heal.
I love it. Because I always, yeah.
The atonement was built into the space-time belief to set a limit on the need for the belief itself, and ultimately to make learning complete. The atonement is the final lesson. Learning itself, like the classrooms in which it occurs, is temporary. The ability to learn has no value when change is no longer. There's some feedback coming through somebody's mic, somebody in the background speaking. Okay, I'll go back. The atonement is the final lesson. Learning itself, like the classrooms in which it occurs, is temporary. The ability to learn has no value when change is no longer necessary. The eternally creative have nothing to learn. You can learn to improve your perceptions and can become a better and better learner. This will bring you into closer and closer accord with the sonship, but the sonship itself is a perfect creation and perfection is not a matter of degree. Only while there is a belief in differences is learning meaningful.
Hmm.
I like how it says the at atonement is the final lesson. And again, atonement is that one, oneness,
Yeah.
and that how learning itself is temporary because it's only necessary in this world.
Yeah. The ability to learn has no value when change is no longer necessary.
Hmm.
Boom.
I am on Circle of Atonement's glossary of terms. Are y'all good if I read through the definition they have of atonement?
Yeah.
Please
Go
do.
ahead.
Atonement, its root meaning to reconcile or set at one. It thus refers to the recovering of at one-ment, not the state of at one-ment. Specifically, the reconciliation of God and his children, which is achieved by the wiping away of what caused the rift, the children's sins. Conventional, the sins are wiped away by payment for them in Christianity by Jesus paying for them on the cross. In ACIM, the sins are wiped away by the realization that they were not real in the first place, and hence that the rift with God never happened. Therefore, atonement in the Course is said to undo errors rather than sins, correct perception rather than the corruption of one's soul, and cancel out past errors rather than pay for them. This is brought about by your acceptance of the atonement, which places you in a position to realize your own errors never really occurred. Put simply, it wipes away what stands between us and God with the knowledge that nothing stands between us and God. Jesus made this principle accessible to us through his resurrection, not his crucifixion. Indeed, the resurrection is sometimes called the atonement. In contrast to Christianity calling the crucifixion the atonement, this placed him in charge of the atonement. Atonement is one of the major terms in the course and has many aspects. It is a principle that the separation never really occurred. In this sense, it is the final lesson. Two, it is a power which, when we accept it, comes into our minds and heals our thinking. The miracle is thus the expression of the atonement. Three, it is a plan for the return of all of God's sons, a plan based on the atonement principle. Four, it is a process in which the sonship progressively approaches the final reunion with God. Five, and it is a purpose, the goal to which the plan and process aspire.
Ta-da.
Did I continue?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
I like listening to you read.
Okay.
I like listening
Evolution.
to anyone read, so anyone can read. I just want to make sure everyone knows
Yeah,
that.
I'm good with Brad being our moderator,
Yeah, if anybody wants to read, just jump
orator.
in.
I agree. He does a good job.
I think he does.
Evolution is a process in which you seem to proceed from one degree to the next. You correct your previous missteps by stepping forward. This process is actually incomprehensible in temporal terms because you return as you go forward. The atonement is the device by which you can free yourself from the past as you go ahead. It undoes your past errors, thus making it unnecessary for you to keep retracing your steps without advancing to your return. In this sense, the atonement saves time, but like the miracle it serves, does not abolish it. As long as there is need for atonement, there is need for time. But the atonement, as a completed plan, has a unique relationship to time. Until the atonement is complete, its various phases will proceed in time, but the whole atonement stands at time's end. At that point, the bridge of return has been built. The atonement is a total commitment. You may still think it is associated with loss, a mistake all the separated sons of God make in one way or another. It is hard to believe a defense that cannot attack is the best defense.
Hmm.
This is what is meant by the meek shall inherit the earth. They will literally take it over because of their strength. A two-way defense is inherently weak precisely because it has two edges and can be turned against you very unexpectedly. This possibility cannot be controlled except by miracles. The miracle turns the defense of atonement to your real protection, and as you become more and more secure, you assume your natural talent of protecting others, knowing yourself as both a brother and a son.
I love that. I love that the atonement is a total commitment. And
Yeah.
this is what is meant by the meek shall inherit the earth. They will literally take over because of their strength. A two-way defense is inherently weak precisely because it has two edges and can be turned against you very unexpectedly. I don't mean to repeat that, but it's just, I love
And it
it.
does. It does.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When I go into defense, then I experience, a split mind,
Yes.
and I'm in need of the miracle.
Yeah,
And
I
then
do like that it says has the two edges, which means, yeah, it can go for the good of you, and it can turn against you too.
I think of it as treading water because you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
not
it's
getting
just
anywhere. Just
you.
Yeah.
splashing
Yeah.
around there trying to stay up.
Somewhere it says it deprives us of our daily bread.
I like
Yes.
that.
It's like, oh,
Yeah, and the miracle turns the defensive atonement to your real protection because it is.
yeah. And I like it, that it also puts this time thing in perspective too,
Yeah.
where it seems like we're going somewhere, but we're returning to where we never left. Rather, the awareness is there that, oh, yeah, I didn't go anywhere. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I have been okay. I didn't know that I wasn't okay, but I am okay. So all of that is done. It's over until my ego wants to bring it up again. You know,
Yes, which it will.
yes, it will. Just in
Yeah,
case.
just kind of like what was that line from a movie? It's always been one of my favorite lines. The Yaya Sisterhood, I think it was. And she says to her, she goes, "Well, you know me, said in that sweet drawl. Um, I just like to chew on something until it's lost all its flavor, and then I just keep chewing on it." And I'm like,
Mm.
Spit
and
that
that's
out.
when you're constantly bringing up, you know, uh, a grievance from the past, like we talked about this before, like when you go home and somebody constantly wants to bring up something you did when you were 9 or 12 or 17. And not only were those hard years, but to be constantly reminded in your 60s that you did something really
Yeah.
dumb when you were 13.
And
Yeah.
family's so hard on you with that. They just don't let
Aren't
it
they
go.
though?
They still
That's like,
have you in this. This is who Maureen is. And whenever you get around them, this is who you are.
Yeah.
And
yes,
they can't like let that go. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
it is.
I
And
would.
it's been like, it's really interesting with me and my sisters because the first three of us are really close in age. I'm 65, Bobby's 64, Bonnie's 63, and then our little sister Patty is 57. And she was our baby. My brother died in 2009, so he was in the mix of all these girls. But we have worked through, I'd say probably in the last 10 years, 15 years, we worked through that. We just don't do that stuff anymore. We
Mm,
more or less recognize our sameness, even though
Yes.
and our different, stuff.
mm,
Like we're just planning a trip to Texas, and two are driving down. One's flying. I'm flying from here. We're going to go see my cousin. So anyway, an example, we're getting a hotel room in Waco because my uncle lives in Clifton. So we're going to sneak down to Waco and do some stuff there before we go to Clifton. So when we're getting the rooms, we're like, well, the snorers will go over here and the non-snorers go in the other room.
mhm, mhm.
So you just kind of go, where before you would just bitch and
They're
complain
up.
about each other, you know? And now you just kind of go, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. All the snorers over. I said, I don't care. I work shift work forever. I can sleep through an earthquake. So, but anyway, I just love how you I don't know why it has to take till you get older, to let that stuff go.
We have less
Funny.
stamina for it when we get older. I
I
think.
think that's what it is too. You're just like, I just ain't got time for this shit. Like I'm looking at more years in the mirror than what's behind me right now. I ain't got time for this.
Yeah. Yeah. And the
And I can,
desire has
yeah.
changed.
I just want
I can
peace.
express the same with me and my family. I mean, we're all so much more easygoing and we're not holding on to that old crap anymore. I think
Yeah,
we're all much more accepting
I think
of
so
And
who.
too.
I just wanted to share also if it, because it can really benefit. Um, when there's a really strong penetration that happens within our own transformation that we have seen, that this identity we were so sure I am this person, that that was actually something that was made up, and then when that is seen and falls away and you come to this expansive understanding that what you are is something that has not yet been spoken. Um, when you, for me, like when I came back into my life and my relationships from that perspective, I nobody really could relate to me, and because the way that I was speaking was so direct, I could not I could not engage in conversations that were very shallow or that were based in identity, and it was very disruptive to my relationships. And several of my primary relationships, people that I had been friends with for years, and also in my family, really began to crumble and fall apart. Now, because I'm in a 12-step program, I thought I was supposed to do an inventory on that and figure out my character defects and then go back and apologize for them. That was not really what was happening, and it was like years later, and I spent 2 years crying myself to sleep every night because I was so scared what was going on, and I couldn't find any clarity. It was years later, Spirit started giving to me that it was basically like, Brad, those relationships, since they're based in an identity that is incorrect, now those
Mm.
relationships have to fall apart, and then the transformation occurs in you both while you're apart, and then you come back together, and the listening, which is now more open, that it's not who I relate to you that you were like from your childhood, it's that I'm relating to you from who you're saying you are now, who you're expressing you are now. And I just want to share that because people don't know. I didn't know. And we think we're doing something wrong when that happens, and it's not. It's just part of the process. But if you don't know that, it can, it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know, the dismantling is the hardest part of the whole thing,
Hmm.
of your beliefs, of you, of and but you stick with it and it's worth it.
Absolutely.
And it's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy, and you know, a lot of times you go, well, should I go for a walk? Well, should I just keep walking? Will that make it clear? How about if I walk 100 miles today? I don't know. But yeah, yeah, I love that, Brad.
So, Brad, I had a question. Are you in
Hmm.
a better place with these people, or did you have to kind of walk away from them?
Well, what happened was there was nothing that I could do to bring it back together while that process needed to. No matter what I said, no matter what I did, it wouldn't work. We're not how we were before. Some of them went through, actually, all of them went through their own dark night of the soul transformation period. Mine was very sudden and faster because I came to such a place of suffering prior to that, that I said, I don't want any more transformation. I don't want any more steps. I don't want any more process. I want to know the truth of it, or I don't want anything. And I was sort of given out of that desire a glimpse of the end, the total. And so now, because of that, I know what they are, because I have seen what it is that this is. It's not a person. It is the total, the totality. It's the I can't speak it into words. I'll just try. It's like the Course says there's one self and we all share it. So they are that self. But I
Hmm.
don't speak to them. I speak to them. I know to speak to them from where they think they are, because to try to do something else conflicts with them and is not helpful or loving. So, but they still speak to to me like I am sometimes like I am this old person. And when I get triggered by that, it's just my forgiveness lessons. So I come home from the interaction, I write it down, and I look at if there's something I'm holding on to from the past. And then Spirit works with me to let that go, to remove it. And then, I cancel my goal for them to be anything other than what they want to be, who they need to be. It doesn't matter because this is saying, it's all done. I have to accept the correction of my thinking that it's not done. It is done. So I hope that was answered.
Yes, it
And
did. No,
if,
thank
if
you.
I could, if I could just share about my experience with my dark night of the soul, is like it was at a point where I was just so crushed, right? That I just awoke in love and gratitude for everyone and everything. Now, don't get me wrong, because even from that point, I mean, I would get triggered a lot, especially by family. And so again, to witness those as forgiveness lessons. And sometimes I was better at it than others. But for me, my awakening was more of a awakening in love and gratitude and just thankfulness to be able to experience that, um, because I had put myself through so much.
Charlie.
I just put myself through so much torture, really. So I was grateful for that,
Yeah.
that was, it doesn't have to be, I mean, it could be different, right, for everyone. So, I mean, I just wanted to share that. And then it's funny because after years and years being reunited with my family, it's like no time has passed. And then when they give you a break and like, wow, I love who you are, they're like, oh, I thought you were this way, but wow, I love how you are. You're so cool. We have so much fun, because they let go of their expectations of me as well. And we just jive, it's just so cool. It's just such a beautiful experience when that happens. It's just, it's just beautiful. So,
So,
I mean, you're always going to have those lessons, always going to have those lessons
Mhm.
and be triggered. You're always going to be triggered as long as we're in these bodies. So, I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Jenny?
no, I didn't want to interrupt. I apologize. But so for you, Brad, you both talked of like a dark night of the soul. So what is that? Like, how would you describe that? Is it kind of like, as they say in kind of layman's terms, like when you hit rock bottom, or is it just a
Yeah.
realization, I guess?
Yeah, for me it was on the way down to that. But because the surrender um was total. And as long as I could kind of try to hold on to something, a condition, then there wasn't enough of, I think there wasn't enough of an opening to be able to see um, what there is to see that the course is really taking me to, or brought me to. So the dark night of the soul part was all of those conflicting ideas being sort of sorted out, separated, examined, and then seeing the pain of that. But like what Maureen said, you know, the moment that the realization came, for me, it was just such a huge relief. I mean, I saw my whole life, what I thought was my life was gone. I mean, it was just like a movie, and and then I knew that it just flooded me that, I'm always safe. There's never going to be an interruption in that safety. It's done. It's for all time. It doesn't end. And gratitude. Yeah, and then I just wanted to give that everywhere, and I still do.
So we
Did that answer
continue.
your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So we're on section 3, the altar of God. 1, the atonement can only be accepted within you by releasing the inner light. Since the separation, defenses have been used almost entirely to defend against the atonement and thus maintain the separation. This is generally seen as a need to protect the body. The many body fantasies in which minds engage arise from the distorted belief that the body can be used as a means for attaining atonement. Perceiving the body as a temple is only the first step in correcting this distortion because it alters only part of it. It does recognize that atonement in physical terms is impossible. The next step, however, is to realize that a temple is not a structure at all. Its true holiness lies at the inner altar around which the structure is built. The emphasis on beautiful structures is a sign of the fear of atonement and an unwillingness to reach the altar itself. The real beauty of the temple cannot be seen with the physical eye. Spiritual sight, on the other hand, cannot see the structure at all because it is perfect vision. It can, however, see the altar with perfect clarity. For perfect effectiveness, the atonement belongs at the center of the inner altar, where it undoes the separation and restores the wholeness of the mind. Before the separation, the mind was invulnerable to fear because fear did not exist. Both the separation and the fear are miscreations that must be undone for the restoration of the temple and for the opening of the altar to receive the atonement. This heals the separation by placing within you the one effective defense against all separation thoughts and making you perfectly invulnerable. The acceptance of the atonement by everyone is only a matter of time. This may appear to contradict free will because of the inevitability of the final decision, but this is not so. You can temporize and you are capable of enormous procrastination, but you cannot depart entirely from your Creator, who set the limits on your ability to miscreate. An imprisoned will engenders a situation in the extreme becomes altogether intolerable. Tolerance for pain may be high, but it is not without limit. Eventually, everyone begins to recognize, however dimly, that there must be a better way. As this recognition becomes more firmly established, it becomes a turning point. This ultimately reawakens spiritual vision, simultaneously weakening the investment in physical sight. The alternating investment in the two levels of perception is usually experienced as conflict, which can become very acute. But the outcome is as certain as God. That
I would love.
last part, that alternating investment in the two levels of perception, that, Jenny, was the dark night for me.
Yeah.
And me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
I can hear you. Yep.
All right. So yeah, absolutely. Same with me. And I just wanted to say, there must be a better way. I'll tell you, even before I got to the dark night, I was like, there must be a better way. I was raised Catholic, and I was, going to when I was hit my 20s, I was on a search for God, basically, is what, search to fill that hole. Okay, I did use alcohol, but I also went to every church, every religion. I just
Mm-hmm.
got baptized. I mean, I was all in, and I was like, that was, again, it was like, there must be a better way. I just could not believe that God could be loving and punishing. It did not make sense to me. The
Mm-hmm.
the whole power and the control and the you're a sinner. I just, it just didn't make sense to me. So, but then I found that truth, that thread of truth also in each of the
Mhm.
religions. I mean, and I minored in religion in college because I was just always on that hunt. So to me, that was just, there must be a better way. And of course, Bill Thetford said that to Helen, right? So, I mean, it's
Mhm.
just really cool. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, and it's so useful. I mean, it can, that can be practical in every situation. Again, it's sort of like almost the same thing he was saying, like, because that saying there must be a better way is like also opening up the space, like in a situation I find myself feeling conflicted, what do I value really? And we get to make our decision. And earlier I was saying, like, where it said your creator set the limits on the ability to miscreate.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen that, we talk about free will.
Right.
Sometimes that question comes up, is there free will or something like that? And for me, it's like it's the paradox, it's like not really. My will is already set, and then I can line up with it, and
Absolutely.
and it's perfect.
Would,
God's will
would
for
you
me is perfect happiness, and that is mine as well.
would you rather be right or have peace? I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather be I'd rather be in peace. That's what you
me
just
too.
have to tell. There's just really no arguing. Um, I mean, like, I don't know, if you're driving down the road and someone wants to take a left and there's a semi coming and you should go right and be safe, yeah, you should be arguing then. But like, I know I'm right. Go right. Other than that, you just kind of it's funny how you just kind of notice, like um I love that show Young Sheldon. Like there's like a lot of stuff,
Watched it. So
but
do you highly recommend it? I haven't watched it.
oh my God.
Should I watch it?
Yes.
Avoiding it because that little boy kind of gets on my nerves. I don't know. You know how a certain character gets on your nerves?
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? I watched Young Sheldon before I watched The Big Bang Theory, and then I was like, I really like Young Sheldon better. But
Okay.
she is really the typical real hard-nosed Southern Baptist. And I guess I never really paid much attention to the different types of religions.
Our
But
time change, Francis. I'm so sorry.
oh, that
We're
just
almost
is.
done. So, so
But I just love how, I'll just be watching it and I'm like, well, that's her God, I guess, the punishing God, what a lot of people call about, like if you don't do this, you're going to go to hell. And, I always want to go, I think I'm living in it right now. So I choose heaven, but it's funny, like when you watch something that's overtly religious or,
yes.
God, like, man, when I watched that Ruby Frankie documentary, I was quite triggered by that with the whole Mormon thing and the God and the punishment and stuff. And I'm like, that's not the God I know. But when I was younger and you go to Sunday school and you're going to church and stuff, you're just like, none of it ever really made sense to me. It just didn't seem right. And then the Bible. I was like, I don't know, here's my Bible, the Course of Miracles. It makes more sense to me. Everything makes sense. But
Mhm.
hi, Fran.
Hello, how are you? Sorry about that.
I'm so no, I'm so sorry. I forgot that it doesn't
I
change for
did
you.
too. Yeah, next week I think, or the week after. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Change.
In Ireland, you don't do it on the same time?
No, for some reason, don't ask me why. But I always do remember in the past, yeah, it'd be 1 week or 2 weeks where we'd be 6 hours behind, or four, maybe. Is it four now?
Yes.
And yeah,
If you
I
guys
wish they
want to
just,
keep going, we can pick up at least the last two paragraphs for Frank.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
up to you
okay.
guys. It's up to you
Yeah,
okay.
guys.
no, I
yeah.
don't have anything to do but dishes. So
Okay.
Chores. So. All right, cool.
So, Fran, we're at chapter 2, section
Three.
3, the
8.
altar of God, and
Yeah.
we're on the 4th and 5th paragraph.
Perfect.
So, spiritual vision literally cannot see error and merely looks for atonement.
Hmm.
All solutions the physical eye seeks dissolve. Spiritual vision looks within and recognizes immediately that the altar has been defiled and needs to be repaired and protected. Perfectly aware of the right defense, it passes over all others, looking past error to truth. Because of the strength of its vision, it brings the mind into its service. This reestablishes the power of the mind and makes it increasingly unable to tolerate delay, realizing that it only adds unnecessary pain. As a result, the mind becomes increasingly sensitive to what it would once have regarded as very minor intrusions of discomfort. The children of God are entitled to the perfect comfort that comes from perfect trust. Until they achieve this, they waste themselves and their true creative powers on useless attempts to make themselves more comfortable by inappropriate means. But the real means are already provided and do not involve any effort at all on their part. The atonement is the only gift that is worthy of being offered at the altar of God because of the value of the altar itself. It was created perfect and is entirely worthy of receiving perfection. God and his creations are completely dependent on each other. He depends on them because he created them perfect. He gave them his peace so they could not be shaken and could not be deceived. Whenever you are afraid, you are deceived, and your mind cannot serve the Holy Spirit. This starves you by denying you your daily bread. God is
Uh-huh.
lonely without his sons, and they are lonely without him. They must learn to look upon the world as a means of healing the separation. The atonement is the guarantee that they will ultimately succeed.
I love that paragraph.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Woo.
That's the daily bread portion.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm. Beautiful. I love somebody said the last time atonement is at one meant.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah,
Yes.
I hadn't heard that before. Oh,
Well, it
Oh
just
my
makes it
goodness.
so clear to me, just it's like horizontal,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
yeah.
That's my little image I have
Okay.
in my brain.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, the
wish
rest.
I had that. I need that written everywhere that whenever you are afraid, you are deceived and your mind cannot serve the Holy Spirit. Because that's my purpose and my goal,
Mhm,
to
mhm,
serve the
mhm,
Holy Spirit in
mhm.
everything.
Charlie.
Yeah, and I like how what it's saying is, it's just like saying, how it goes. It's not like I'm going, oh, I think I don't want to do that right now. The errors are really, they're really innocent. I mean, as human beings, we've been making up crap ever since we started to speak. You know,
And we're still making up crap.
yeah, we're still. I'm gonna make a better version of it now, and it doesn't work. And then when it's when it's like that, I don't know. And it says, you know, um, God is lonely without his sons, and they are lonely without him.
Mm.
Mhm.
It's powerful.
Yeah, and that statement sends forth this such a strong desire, for him, and that desire is always answered.
Mhm.
And I think that's a wonderful reminder because I feel like this world, we're all so busy, but we're also we're lonely.
Mm.
Everybody It's like even in a room full of people, everybody's on their phone.
Yeah, yeah,
It's the world is even more lonely
yeah,
than it's ever been. So that's a great reminder.
yeah.
Yeah, and when I hear somebody tell the truth about that, my defenses come down. I
Mm,
know that that is somebody that I ultimately can join with and I am safe with.
mm,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
love it.
Mm.
I see our what does it say? Yeah, our seeds our interest is not separate.
It's all the same, right?
Yes.
That's why
Hmm.
you'd wonder why everybody's fighting, wouldn't
Well, no wonder.
you?
I know. Well, everybody knows what everyone else should be doing. Or saying, right?
Yeah.
Uh, oh my goodness. Yeah, and it's the same thing. The only way you can really bring everyone in is just by demonstration of what you do, how you react. Try not to flip off that guy who's honking behind you, you know, that kind of stuff.
I always say the driving's the hardest one for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
There's
Yeah.
know, I go, there's just certain things I do that are just like everyday stuff. Like if I'm at store and I've got a cart full of stuff and someone comes in and they have like two items, I always let them go first, always,
Mhm.
you know, and it's just little simple things like that.
Mm, mm.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a guy try to give me a loaf of his bread last week at Market Basket.
aw.
It was hot baguettes that they just pulled out of the oven, and he had five of them. I'm like, whoa. He was going to Paris this week. I said, oh, you're gonna go get the good baguette. He goes, no, this here is pretty comparable to Paris. He's like, would you like one? I'm like,
Oh,
isn't
That's
that
nice.
sweet?
that is
Trying
so
to give me a
sweet.
loaf of his bread.
That's cute.
I
Yeah.
just
Hey, are you going to be seeking out barbecue in Texas?
probably not really seeking it out because I know where a really good place is at.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I seek out more. I'm a Mexican food girl.
Okay.
I want the charro beans. I want the tamales.
Mm.
Tamales are my favorite.
Homemade tamales are
Oh
amazing.
my God.
My
Mm.
sister
You
used to
only
make them.
need you only need 50 years of experience to do it.
Yeah, my sister. Yeah, my sister. Her ex's family was from Mexico, so
Uh,
they gave her the recipe and everything. And
Oh,
yes.
wow.
she's
Wow.
good.
Yeah.
She's a great cook. So they were really.
Yeah. So,
Hope you're all
but yeah, I'll be
celebrating.
here. I'll be here next Sunday yet. What is today? Oh, it's St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, which
That's
I
what I'm
thought,
just going to say. Hope you're all celebrating tomorrow.
Yes,
um,
happy St. Patrick's Day.
Well, yeah, you do.
we
Working.
don't have to worry about throwing up green beer anymore. I do live in the Boston area, so it is kind of a
Oh,
national
wow.
holiday.
Yeah.
Fun,
There
right?
it is.
Yeah,
Right
fun.
there.
Yeah, since the whole town is painted green all the time anyway, between the Red
Oh,
Sox and Celtics.
oh,
So,
oh, yeah.
so
Yeah, we don't
we're
really.
yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
not really. I don't think I have any Irish in my ancestry, so a little bit Irish and English, but
Tiny bit. Yeah.
we have a lot.
Yeah.
Right, Francis?
um,
We also have Welsh and English. Granny
Yes,
Lynn
absolutely.
is Welsh. Yeah.
And I have German and Danish from my mom's side.
Oh, wow.
She
Nice.
was a Bartholomew.
Oh,
Bartholomew, that's a big
nice.
name.
Yeah. A long name.
Look up to how to spell it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
They're
my
different
favorite thing
names,
is
too.
the Guinness cake, and I don't have
Mm,
anyone else here to eat it
love
with.
that.
So,
Yeah.
um, hmm, so
Never
I
had
I
one.
am making one.
Are you
But I
making
have
one?
a little. I don't know if this is really a prayer, but I have a little thing I found this morning from Muji. Have you guys ever
Oh
heard
yeah,
I love
Muji?
him.
Yeah.
I love Luigi.
So I want to just kind of put this out there as our prayer for the week. I guess I'm just being all bossy and I'm taking over the prayer, the closing
Do
prayer.
it. Do it. Do
Okay.
it.
And
Go for
it's just a little thing here. It says, and I'm going to say that this is from the perspective of God. Let my hand be your hand. Let your love be my love. Let my body be your body. Let my mind be your mind. Let my heart be your heart. Let my voice be your voice. Let my spirit be your spirit. Let my life be you. Amen.
it. Oh, man.
Lovely.
Amen.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for a great meeting. And I promise I haven't gotten the meetings up, but if anybody does want to watch them, I'll get them in there today or tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Behind in that, so I will get them uploaded. Okay.
All
Yeah, and
right.
it was nice to see you, Fran. So
Okay.
are you doing your time change next week?
I don't, I usually is, but somebody said it's 2 weeks now, so I don't know. It's usually 1 week that we are different. So I don't know. It's gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Thank you, Jen.
Are you 6 hours from us? What time is your time right now?
Um, 4 o'clock, 4:15.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Oh, so you're only 4
So it's only
hours.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually 5. Yeah.
Because I think all of us are on Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah.
Jenny though.
Jenny,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
No. Is she on Central Time? So she's
Yeah,
she's
on
more behind us.
Central Time.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Have a great
All
week.
right.
Thank
Happy
you.
St.
Have a
Bye.
great
Patrick's
have a
Very
great
much.
Day.
week. And it's
Love
gonna
you
be
all.
spring. It's gonna be spring when I see you.
Appreciate you.
Wait.
Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you.